So yesterday I saw Storks and I was pleasantly surprised. So in the world of Storks, Storks no longer deliver babies. Instead they deliver packages such as new phones and such. While our main Stork is named Junior, played by Andy Samberg. He's the best at his job, and one day the boss brings him up for a promotion where he's gonna be the next boss. He only has to do one thing in order to become boss: liberate or fire the human in the factory. You see, one of the main reasons why they do not deliver babies anymore is they had an incident where one stork went super crazy and grown attached to the baby he was supposed to deliver, and the beacon of where the address was supposed to be was destroyed, and now she's trapped there with all the storks. And she's been there for about 18 years. Her name's Orphan Tulip, who's played by someone I don't recognize. She's not been in anything other than a lot of cartoon series. Katie Crown. But anyway, Junior has to fire her, and he can't quite do that because he's a little too nice and maybe a little bit too much of a wimp. Feels bad, especially since it's her birthday. So instead of firing her, he puts her in the factory where they used to make the babies. That way she'll be out of everyone's hair because she's quite of annoyance to everyone else and tends to destroy things on accident. Well, things go really crazy when a baby is actually made. And so now Junior and Tulip have to deliver this baby before anyone notices and finds out that there's a stork delivering a baby, because they're not supposed to do that anymore. A lot more crazy things ensue and a lot of dangers and obstacles they have to face, but of course I'm not going to tell you that. You're going to have to see that for yourself. Storks was one of those movies that sort of came out of nowhere because I didn't know much about it. For the longest time, for almost the entire first half of this year, all there was either a poster or the name Storks and some of the people involved, but no real trailer until about maybe a couple weeks ago. Or at least I finally got to see the trailer after a few weeks ago, and that's when I'm like, oh, well, that came out of nowhere. That's a bit of a surprise. Maybe it'll be good. So I had my fingers crossed, hoping it would be good, and actually, it was really entertaining and funny. I first have to say all the voice acting was good and felt absolutely perfect for the roles they're in. The Stork Jr. is completely Andy Samberg material. He is completely fit for that role. I don't know much about Katie Crown other than she's in a bunch of different Cartoon Network shows, but she was good as Orphan Tulip. I really enjoyed her character. And I really like the bond that develops between Junior and Tulip throughout the movie. It was really interesting. Kelsey Grammer is the evil boss in this movie, Hunter. Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele are the two wolves in this movie. They were fantastic. Jennifer Aniston and Ty Burrell, they are the parents of the child that sends this letter. Yeah, there's this child that's kind of being neglected by his parents. His parents are workaholics and they don't really pay much attention to him. And so the kid wants a baby brother for someone to look up to him and someone to play with. And so he's the one that sends the letter after he sees this old ad for the Storks back when they used to deliver children. And then it gets in the hands of Orphan Tulip, who does her job and puts it in the babies are made through letters, and that's really interesting. Like, they literally put the letter into this machine and it goes through like mitosis and develops into a baby, which is really crazy and really unique. And even Danny Trejo is the voice of the stork that goes a little crazy and gets attached to the child he's supposed to deliver. There's a lot of voices in this movie and they're really perfect for their roles. Storks, at its heart, is definitely a comedy. It's one of those animated films that has a very simple plot, very simple premise, with a lot of fast-paced action and jokes, and tries to deliver it at a breakneck speed, with a lot of short cutaways, witty jokes, and sometimes immature and repeated jokes as well. Which definitely makes sense why they have Andy Samberg as the main character, because a lot of it does feel like something you'd expect from one of his movies or one of his shows. It has a lot of the same sort of quick humor. In fact, if I were to describe this comedy style, I feel that it's a mixture of the Lego Movie, which makes sense because it is developed by the same company, but a mixture of the Lego Movie meets Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's kind of what the feel of the comedy is in this movie. Usually that could be a hit or miss, and there are a lot of jokes and a lot of techniques in jokes that normally I don't find myself enjoying. For instance, the kind of thing where characters explain the joke through dialogue, even though we obviously get what it is and they just point out the obvious. And a lot of repeated jokes as well. But in Storks, I didn't mind all the times that it did that. It actually made it really fun in this movie. I think there's certain comedians and certain styles that can get away with me enjoying those kind of things that I normally don't enjoy in comedies. Storks and Andy Samberg are one of those things that make it acceptable. Throughout the movie, it's very original and very creative. Sometimes its fast pace and its simple story could cover up the cleverness and the originality the film has, but I can definitely see it in there. And there's definitely character development and heart in this movie. It just might not be enough of it. I mean, I'm not saying that it's devoid of any heart or devoid of any character development. It is still there. It's just maybe a little bit more minimalistic than I would expect or would like in a movie. I think that's because of the movie's fast pace and it trying to deliver as many jokes as possible, try to get through the plot as fast as possible to keep the attention of the kids. And so it doesn't slow down enough to really get a great character development, but it's still there. I definitely enjoyed the performances. I liked the characters in it, and I cared about a lot of the characters throughout. For the most part, the jokes were hilarious. Nearly every joke in this film, I either smiled or chuckled or giggled or just blatantly laughed out loud. There are some really laugh out loud moments for me. And honestly, I was really worried when I saw the trailer because they showed a lot of really funny jokes to me, with the whole wolf pack morphing into different vehicles. Or the particular fight on the rooftop with the penguins while the baby's sleeping and so they're all trying to be quiet. Like, I was really worried those would be the funniest parts of the movie. And for the most part they are, but there's still a lot of other jokes that weren't in the trailer that are just as funny and sometimes even funnier. For instance, the wolf pack turning into the submarine in the trailer. That's not the only thing they morph into, and there's a lot funnier things that they morph into. The submarine is probably maybe the second or third best of the things that they morph into. And then the fight on the rooftop with the penguins while they're all trying to be quiet is better executed in the movie because it's extended in the movie. And not only is it extended, but in the trailer it has the sort of lullaby music while they're fighting. But in the movie, it is completely silent. It's devoid of any music. And so it actually makes it funnier because they're trying to be quiet in that scenario. Almost everything I liked about the trailer and thought was funny about the trailer is extended and done better in the movie. I think my only gripes with the film and the only things keeping it from being a really, really great film for me is two things. One, we don't get enough of the villain in my opinion. Yes, I know a lot of people are liking Kelsey Grammer as the boss and the evil character in this movie, and he does really great at it. But I feel that there's a little bit more that could have been done with him. A little bit more scenes with him would have been nice, and to get a well-definite villain in the film. With as little as they showed him in the film, it doesn't really grasp my attention as, okay, this is the evil villain, and I don't really care too much about him in it because there's just not enough to him. And there was one character in this film that completely annoyed me. Pigeon Toady. Okay, I know this character's supposed to be annoying. He's supposed to be weird. But he was just so weird and so annoying to me that I just hated it almost every time he was on screen. It didn't make me laugh, it just annoyed the hell out of me. I think there's only two moments with the pigeon that I actually thought was funny. And when I did think it was funny, it was just sort of a chuckle rather than anything really, really groundbreakingly funny. And to be honest, his character is pretty pointless. The only reason he's in it is so he could follow them, discover what they're doing, and blab to the boss. That's pretty much his entire reason for being in the film. That and to make really lame jokes throughout the film. and be really weird and awkward. So excluding the pigeon, I really enjoyed this film, but because the pigeon exists in the film, I'm going to have to bring it down a little bit, and I'm going to give Storks 3.5 stars. So did you see Storks? What did you think about it? Go ahead and comment below. And if you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe and check out my movie reviews of 2015 and 2016. As always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.